Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Misha. Thank you guys for joining me yet again for another review. We are back with a brand new review for Tyler Perry's Sistas, Season 4, Episode 9. If you're new here, then welcome. I give lighthearted reviews with a little bit of laughter and a little bit of shade and a whole lot of detail. If you're back for a second or third time, then welcome back. Y'all, please don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. Now, child, let's get into it if we gonna get into it. Previously on Tyler Perry's Sistas. So Karen tries to drop a bomb, honey, and got that face and that wig cracked, bell bottoms and all. Zach talks to Gary and is still trying to decide if he wants to believe what he's saying or not. And Andi is trying to decide if she want to keep the penthouse. When the episode first opens up, Zach is getting arrested. And the lady is like, "Do you have any weapons on you?" He said, "No." Child, she got this Tyler Perry wig on. Baby, Tyler gonna have one of them swoop-de-whoop wigs on these women if he don't do nothing else. You know what? At first I was like, you know what, Tyler? We're not about to play with you with the wigs of it all. But I think Tyler is trolling us. He's known for those wigs. That's almost a trademark. Like if you see a bad wig or a beard that's not really bearding, then you know it's a Tyler Perry production. Now, child, let's proceed. So he's like, "You got to tell me why I'm being arrested." She's like, "I don't have to tell you anything. It's between you and the judge." Ma'am, you done bust up on the scene. You and this Hercules cop that is holding Zach hostage. He ain't got a handcuff on the first, child. He just holding him by the arms. Child, I would have wiggled out of that. I would have wiggled out of that hole so good. I would have been gone. Do y'all hear me? I was like, what is happening here? This has Hayden written all over it. It really does. Jake from State Farm was like, "Can you tell me what prison you're taking him to?" Child, not prison. Not prison just yet, honey. Ugh. Listen, Jake from State Farm, it's levels to it. You got to go to jail first. Then you go to the pen. Boy, trying to take the man straight to prison. She said, "He's going to Fulton County." He's like, "Well, I know some people down there, so don't worry about it." Okay, sir, well, we need to figure out what's happening, honey, because they're arresting Zachary. And he's like, "Can you call Fatima?" "Yeah, I'll call her." So they're escorting Zach on out by force, and he's telling Jake to call Fatima. "My girls hold me down, them boys mess around," and scene. When the next scene opens up, Fatima goes in to bring Andi some coffee and asks her what happened last night. And she's like, "You know what? I just love that penthouse. It's where I belong." Child, I knew she was going to accept that trap house. I knew it. I knew when she was in there pressing them buttons and crying and walking in a circle because she thought she was in the Sex and the City episode that they right over there on HBO, that she was probably going to accept that place. I knew it. I knew she was going to accept that from Gary. She's like, "You know what? My stupid ass is falling for it." So Fatima's like, "No, you're not stupid." "Well, what do you call it, Tima?" "What do you call it, girl?" "Moving forward." So Fatima goes to get something. "Here go, Andi. Where are you going? You're not going to get you're not going to get your gun." "No, Annie's not going to get her gun." Girl, hush. You know what trips me out about Andi is she acts like, "Oh my gosh, you guys are so hood. Do you have your taser on you?" Like it gets on my nerves. It really gets on my nerves. Andi, okay? Y'all all went to the same college, sweetheart. Birds of a feather flock together. Please stop acting like you don't know nothing ever. So Fatima comes back with this rubber band. I'm like, okay, for the rubber band, man. She comes back and she said, "You need this so you can get over an ex," because she read that somewhere. And every time you think about all the bad times, take a rubber band off of it. Fatima, where were you when I was trying to get over that ex? Okay, because if I had did that, I would have had one rubber band left to tie around my wrist or tie up a ponytail and whatnot. And I probably wouldn't even have one rubber band left. And the only reason why I would have had one left is because I got my son. So she was like, "It's for you to unwrap yourself when you tangled up in some bush, okay? And then when all the rubber bands are gone, then you get the hell out." So Andi gonna say, "You got one for Zach?" Now, why would she have one for Zach? She don't need one for Zach. They're perfectly fine. She said, "I don't need it." Andi said, "Oh, it's that good?" "Andi, the ball is for a breakup. Last time I checked, they're very much still together." So Fatima's like, "I love Zach. He blowing my..." Andi gonna say, "You're back out?" She said, "No, my mind." So then they started talking about how she handled herself at the penthouse and how she did well. And she's like, "Well, you know what? I understand Karen. And I just want to know, is she going to be okay?" And Andi was like, yeah, she's going to be fine. Like, she's strong. She just wants to have the baby and co-parent with Zach. Fatima said, well, I don't know about all that. I know that's right, child. When I tell you I related to the exact way she said that, girl, we don't know about that yet because we don't know who baby this is. So Andi going to say, what does that mean? She said, well, let's see who the baby's daddy is first. Child, I don't know that's real. Andi said, well, Zach is the father. And how do you know, Andi? How do you know, Andrea? You and Karen don't even really talk like that no more. You didn't even know she was pregnant. So therefore, and thus and such, please hush. So she was like, well, you forgot she was also with the preacher man at the same time. She's like, that is not his baby. I'm talking to G.O.D. and everybody about it. Andi gonna say, okay, relax. That's still my friend. Fatima said, okay, I know, but I wanted to be the one to have his babies. You still can't have his babies, honey. You just want to be the first one to have his babies and the only one to have his babies. But if Karen does what Karen is going to do, then you might be the second one to have his babies. But don't worry, child. It's Aaron, so we're fine. Andi always want to talk about Zach and then start acting weird. You asked about Zach. You talking about him blowing her back out. Hold on, that's still my friend. Girl, don't ask about their business, okay? Just keep it to yourself. In the next scene, over at the Empty Bank and Trust, Maurice is asking Sabrina not to call the cops. Maurice, I hope you're not falling for this sob story. And I really hope Tyler is not writing you to be in an entanglement with Q. We don't want it, Tyler. We don't want it. So they start talking. And Maurice is like, he's a good guy. He's a good man, Savannah. No, he's not. He is not. Sir, will the real Maurice please stand up? Please stand up. Who is this Maurice? Talking all somber and he's a good man. What are you talking about? I need the Maurice that comes in cackling, ready to go in on Sabrina and her Amish skirts. That's what I'm waiting on. Sabrina's like, don't be nice to him. You should not be nice to him. I don't like it. I know that's right, Sabrina. Finally speaking with some sense. He's like, you know what? I'm not talking about this anymore. I have to take this customer. Hey, random man, how are you? Okay, for the extras. So he walks away and she's like, we're not done. He is, yes, we are. We are done, Sabrina. Not y'all got this one customer in here with no speaking role and y'all hollering all up and through this empty bank. This is the most unprofessional bank that I have ever seen. Do y'all hear me? They already don't never have no customers. Then when they finally get a customer, the two of them are hollering all the way up and through. You know what? What I do like about Sisters is there's like a duo everywhere. When Zach worked at the airport, it was Danni and Zach. You know, it's Sabrina and Maurice. She gonna say something, he gonna cuss out. It's their banter that is just so funny to me. But sometimes Maurice get a little bit out of hand. Now, Maurice, you got to remember that she is a lady. Okay, she's a woman. In the next scene at the airport, where Danni brings all the boys to the yard, the trafficking cop comes to figure out why she stood him up and who hurt her. Because, girl, why are you acting this way? Like, what man hurt you? She's like, nobody. I'm just uninterested. I'm uninterested in all these random men coming to your home and forcing their way on dates with you, sex with you, all kinds of things. Every man that hits on Danni at that airport has been to her home. Preston showed up there unannounced, honey, let himself in and started making steak and mashed potatoes. El Fuego. He comes after a night out at the club. He's staying at the airport going back and forth and back. He comes after a night out at the club and decides he's going to spend the night because he needs somewhere to lay his hair down. Then you have the trafficking cop that has figured out her address, forced himself in, and is now trying to date her. Okay. It's Tyler Perry land. It's Tyler Perry land. So they're having some banter. He's asking for another date, and she was like, absolutely not. And he's like, I think you'll like me. She's like, absolutely not. And he's like, you know what? I got to get out of here. Okay, sir. Goodbye and good day. So Andi calls Danni on the phone, acting all suspicious. And she's like, hey, you want to hang out? She's like, do I owe you money? She said, no. So Danni thinking she about to get her apartment. Here she go. Oh my gosh. Are you calling me because I'm about to get the apartment? She was like, no. Honey, she shut that down real quick. So then she tells Danni, she's like, I just want to talk. Like, let's go to dinner. So, of course, you know, Danni ain't going to pay for nothing. So she was like, are you paying? She was like, yes, I'm paying. Oh, okay. Well, meet me at the Olive Branch at 8. Okay, Olive Branch it is. So they get off the phone. Baby, she called Danni because she's the only one that will encourage her being with Gary. She knows she can't call Sabrina because Sabrina don't say much, honey. She never has any advice for anybody. She's still going through with Calvin. Karen and her unborn child, they not having it. So the only person left would be Danni. And she knows that Danni is impressed by all things material. When she saw the penthouse, impressed. When she saw the Rolls Royce, impressed. So she knew the right person to call. Moving forward. In the next scene, Bio comes into the bank. And child, the bank got a little foot traffic today. Okay, bank. He went from branch to branch to branch until he found Sabrina, because he wanted to ask her out. So he told her she looks like the women in his country. She's so beautiful, which she is. Sabrina's a very beautiful woman. All the women on Sistas, all of them are beautiful. And she's like, thank you. I am African American. He's like, oh, okay, the motherland. Have you ever been to Africa? She said no. He's like, okay, well, let me take you. Once she said no, he proceeded to say, you know what? Well, let me do some bank business. I would like to make a withdrawal. So she started clicking and clacking, child, trying to pull up his accounts with an S, honey. Y'all heard that S? Okay. So she takes his information, gets ready to make the withdrawal, and she's like, he said, what's wrong? She said, we don't have that much cash. Y'all ain't got nothing at this empty bank, and I do mean nothing. Baby, that man said, oh, I thought you were about to say I'm broke. Sir, cut the crap. Okay, you knew exactly what you were doing. You knew she was going to see all them O's in that bank account, and you thought that that was going to impress her. 36 mil in one account? Baby, you know that account is stacked. It said $36 million. Tyler gonna write these men with some money if he don't do nothing else. Okay, so he's a millionaire. Zach is one now, but y'all, we don't know if Zach gonna get to keep his money. Gary buying Rolls Royces and penthouses. Child, this is something else. But Tyler, why can't you change the women's story? You've written Karen to be a bitter, now it's gonna be child's mother, because y'all know I ain't gonna say baby mama. A bitter woman who can't get over that ex and is trying to wreak havoc all up and through his new relationship. She's so bitter and angry. She never smiles. She never has a bit of joy every single episode. You've written Danni in that airport permanently. Can we get Danni out of that airport? The only person thriving is Andi. And that's with a married man. Well, an ex-married man, allegedly. Child, it's just too much. So once he couldn't get the cash, he was like, well, can I get a call instead? So he gives her his business card. She's like, I'll think about it. So he leaves. Here go Maurice. How much did he want? She said $200,000 in cash. Child, y'all ain't got that much cash in there because nobody ever comes in that bank. Honey, Zach was your biggest customer thus far. So he's like, spin it around. Let me see. Let me look at it. She's like, no, it's confidential. He said, I work here. I'm the confidential queen. Honey, I wonder if bankers really do that. Every time I watch this show, I wonder if the bankers are really talking about it. Because let me just tell y'all a story time. It's not really a story time. When I was struggling of sorts, okay, I remember cashing a check that was $2.14. And I needed to get my baby some diapers. So that $2.14 meant a lot to me because I needed it. Okay, in addition to the other money that I had, so I could get him a big box of diapers. Okay, that's a story time for another time. But I remember feeling so low cashing that check, and I will never forget, I gave the teller the check, and she was like, what do you want us to do with this? And I said, I would like to cash it. And she starts pulling up my account, and my account was in the negative. And that woman told me, well, I'm not going to be able to cash it because your account is negative and you have to have the amount of money in your account as the check that you're cashing. And I had my baby on my hip. I took the check. I went to one of those check cashing places, and I think they took out like 50 cents out of the check, and I needed the whole $2. Child, it was just a horrible time. Okay, it was a really horrible time, and it made me a better person. So, baby, I ain't shame, but I do wonder if bank tellers get together and talk about the money in your account, and I don't like that. That's the main reason why I do not trust banks, child. That's just a story time. It's not a story time, and it's a side note. Moving forward. So Maurice said, you better go with that man. You better go out with him. She's like, no, not after what happened with Calvin. Girl, you don't like Calvin. She's like, I don't care about the money. He said, that's why you're always wearing those ugly patterns. Those clothes do scream Brady Bunch. I ain't gonna lie to you. Baby, Sabrina gonna put on a Brady Bunch original if she don't do nothing else. So she's like, my clothes are fierce, thank you. Sabrina, you look awful, honey, at all times. Most times you're swaddled in all that clothing and material. But I mean, if you don't give yourself the zhuzh, then who gonna give it to you, child? So they're talking, and she tells Maurice that the people in corporate thought that he was involved with Q, trying to stick up the bank. She was like, you need to stay away from him. You need to. Child, of course, he's not taking it seriously. So then he tells her that he's going to go get the man by putting on a miniskirt and some heels, honey, and his good wig to go get Mr. Bio. He's like, you know what? I've been on bended knee for a bingo card and $20. What you think I'm going to do for millions? Honey, something strange for a piece of change? Child, so then he starts making these gawking noises. And she's like, ma'am, take a break. I'm like, take a break? It's another teller in there? Child, we ain't seen nobody in there since Jacoby. Shout out to Jacoby. She's like, go on break, Claudine. Girl, not Claudine. Not Claudine, Lord. Woo, that woman and her name came out of nowhere. Do y'all hear me? In the next scene, Fatima is calling Zach's phone and she not getting no answer. She leaving sweet voice messages and whatnot. Wasn't Jake supposed to call her? See, this is why I don't trust Jake. This is exactly why. Like, what's taking you so long to call Fatima? So Fatima goes to the office to tell Andi that she's leaving for the day. And she's like, well, you want me to call and have your things moved back? Andi said, no, it's fine. She's like, oh, okay, so you keeping the place? She's like, well, I'm thinking about it. Tyler, Andi told Fatima 3 scenes ago she belonged in the penthouse. And the realtor and the lawyer is coming by to sign the papers. So why is Fatima asking her this when she knows that? Tyler, you're going to have to remember what you're writing, honey. You really are. She's like, well, what about the car? She said, no. Child, let Andi keep those manipulation bribe gifts, honey. If she want to keep them, then go and let her keep them. In the next scene, Karen is at the salon and Aaron shows up because, honey, y'all know he loves an impromptu drop-by. She's biting his head off per usual, and he's asking her about a text that he sent with the timeline. We all know Karen wants nothing to do with this potential baby being Aaron's. So, Aaron, I don't know why you keep putting yourself in these positions. She's like, well, I called the doctor, so I'm going to let you know when I see the doctor. Why does she continue to treat him this way, and why does he continue to allow himself to be treated this way? This woman doesn't like you like that. She got to get over Zach first, because every time she speaks to you, she's going to have some resentment and an attitude. So just leave her alone. But I'm happy to see she changed her clothes and whatnot. They argue for a little bit, and he just backs off and then he leaves. So she goes over to Pam's desk, and they're talking. Pam and Karen start talking about Zach, and then they notice that Aaron is in the parking lot crying. So child, she goes out there to apologize. He's like, do you know how much I love you? Like, I've never felt this way about anyone. What did Karen do to get all this love from you, Aaron? What did she do? She has been curving you since y'all met at that grocery store. So I'm just trying to figure out, what has she done to make you fall so deeply in love with her? She's done all this, yet your ex-wife made a mistake and you wouldn't dare take her back. And you said it was because of cheating, but Karen sort of cheated on you too, and you walked in when she was in the middle of the act. And then backdoored and had sex with her because he did. So I'm just not understanding. That doesn't make any sense to me. So he's telling her, he's like, I wish you would just tell me to get lost. Like, that would be easier. And she's like, I don't want to say that to you. He was like, well, that way I can just go on with my life. You can go on with your life now. And she's like, well, we can be friends. Baby, he on his Deborah Cox and RL, child. We can be friends. 'Cause I'm still in love with you. Baby, she said they cannot be friends. Do you hear me? Honey, we can't be friends if we can't be lovers. Aaron wants nothing to do with the friendship of it all. So she tells him that the baby isn't his. She was like, I know you want this baby to be yours, but it ain't. Okay, and you want it to be Zach's, but it ain't. He's like, I disagree. Child, not you disagree. I object, Your Honor. Aaron, leave that woman alone until she has your baby, child. I feel bad for Aaron, but he's not taking no for an answer. So you're going to continue to get this attitude if you don't leave this woman alone. Moving forward. So Andi calls Gary in the next scene, asking where her things are. Baby, Andi stay on that phone, don't she? I ain't seen Andi lawyer since 2 seasons ago. Andi, when you gonna do some work? You either talking to Fatima, breaking up a fight in the copy room, or you sitting here on this cellular phone. Girl. So she calling Gary. She's like, where are my things? He's like, what? You want me to move them back? Yes, move them back, rockhead. She don't want that penthouse. Well, she really wants the penthouse and she really wants you, but she want to prove to them she's strong enough not to take you back. So put her things back, okay? She's like, I want my things back because you bought that penthouse, but you're going to feel like it's yours. He's like, no, it's yours. It's yours. No, you're going to feel like it's yours. She's absolutely right. She said, well, I still want them back. So then he said, well, can I come over and walk you through the penthouse? How many times she going to walk through that same space, Gary? How many times? Give it up. So she's like, no, you're going to say the same thing that you've been saying, and I don't want to hear it. Okay, heard it all before, but your lies ain't working now. Shout out to Sunshine Anderson. Baby, she already heard it all before, so she don't want to hear nothing you saying. You're going to talk in riddles, and you know how you like to do. He tried to wear her down, but she didn't budge. It is going to be hard for Andi, but Andi, you can do it, honey. I'm speaking directly to you. Just keep your rubber band man with you, and every time you get ready to think about something that was good, think about something that was as equally bad, and pull off one of your rubber bands. In the next scene, we see Hopalong Cassidy, aka Hayden, and he's running, or should I say hopping, fast away from Fatima. Baby, she was cackling about him on those crutches. And when she was cackling, I was cackling, because people laughing makes me laugh. So, child, I was hollering. He's like, get your ass away from me. Baby, he is running from her. Ooh, this is funny. He's like, you know what? You was wrong for this. I didn't do anything to you. She was like, are you delusional? Honey, gotta be. Got to be. I would not be saying anything to Hayden. Child, we wouldn't even be talking. So these two are going back and forth and back about who did what and who did the most damage. And she's like, you need some. You must need some. So let me give you $20 so you can get some. So then Fatima hits him with a threat. Baby, she said, if I hear anything about this that I did to you getting out, this is going to feel like a spa day. Ooh, baby. So then she continues to taunt him by running up on him as he hops away expeditiously. Moving forward. This might be his last episode if she find out he's responsible for Zach being in jail. Baby, it's going to be a mess. In the next scene, Calvin, hey, sir, we haven't seen you. He comes home and y'all Q sitting in the living room on the couch. He said, Maurice let me in and he said I could stay. This is not a smart move to trust Q, Calvin. So just call Maurice and figure out what's happening. I think he broke in, because why would Maurice let him in the house after everything he did to him? He's like, well, I'm moving. So Calvin calls Maurice to find out why he let Q stay there. So Maurice is talking to him and he all confused, trying to figure out what is Calvin talking about. So Calvin trying to tell him that Q is in there just waiting. So Maurice joking, talking, well, you better watch the good silver. Nobody's playing with you. People want to feel comfortable where they stay. So he asked Calvin to put him on the phone. So Maurice is telling him that he needs to leave, but honey, Q is not budging. Sir, you're not going to bogart your way into my living space. You need to go. How did he get in there? That's all I want to know. Child, everything else can go. Moving forward. In the next scene, Andi shows up in the double R to Karen's hair mastery, and Pam is standing there, child, ready to be nosy. But Andi was actually nice to her this time. Child, these things got her in a good mood. So Karen comes in and starts being weird. Y'all know how she liked to treat Andi. Andi said, I thought about the penthouse, but I just can't keep it. So Karen told her to sell a place. She was like, well, why don't you sell it? She's like, I am. So Karen said, good, but you ain't fooling me. Tyler, nice, you ain't fooling me? Okay. So then she was like, you call Danni. I told y'all that's why she was calling Danni, so she can encourage her to stay. I told y'all. She's like, you need to have a different perspective on these types of things. She was like, not on this type of thing. No, you just want her to co-sign your bull. That's what you want her to do. So Andi is like, well, what if he gets, she said, please don't say a therapist. Don't say that. He already had one, hun, a sexual one. Had everybody thinking he was cheating. She's like, no, but what if he gets a therapist to get to the root of the issue? The root of the issue is you cheating with him while he was still married. He's a cheater. He's just not a good guy. Because let me tell you this is just my personal opinion. Listen to me again, people out there in YouTube land. My personal opinion. The opinion of my damn self. If you cheat on your husband and or your wife, I feel that you are just at the core not a good person. That person has trusted you and vowed to be with you forever and a day. And you decide to just go with your own selfish urges and cheat. So, that's how I feel about that. So, and plus Gary is just not a good person. But girl, if you want Gary, just go and get him, honey, because this ain't gonna never end. So Andi's like, well, I'm going to dinner with them. It's just dinner. Let me guess, Andi. Closure? Sure. In the next scene, Zach is in jail and the police comes over and says that his lawyer is there. I bet it's Hayden. Now, when I first heard lawyer is there, I thought Hayden, because child, he does so much we forget he's an actual lawyer. So he was like, my lawyer. But eventually he was like, okay, take me to my lawyer. So he walks in the room. It's Jake from State Farm and a lawyer. So he was like, did you call Fatima? He was like, well, I was going to call her, but I don't know if you want her to know about this. He was like, bro, why didn't you call Fatima? So then the lawyer tells him, listen, I can help you, but you got to tell me everything that you know. He said, about what? So then he looks down at this paper and scene. Baby, I do not know exactly what is on that paper, but that was the end of the episode. I cannot wait to see what was on that paper, because I'm pretty sure it has something to do with that woman being in that hotel room with him, or something is happening. I don't know. It might be that lady that put the funds in the different accounts. I'm not sure how Tyler gonna write this, and I ain't gonna help Tyler write this because y'all know he like to listen. Y'all comment down below and tell me exactly what you thought about this episode. It was kind of filler. It really didn't give much, but it was still good nonetheless. I probably would rate it about a 6. Please don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, stay safe, stay blessed, spread love, not germs. Peace.